I want to start by saying welcome to all of you and thank you for being here. Your presence demonstrates an interest in and a commitment to the future of the Institute for the Awakened Mind. Oh my goodness, maybe a tear. This is a momentous occasion for me, as most of Susanna is taking over as director of IAM. And we've been talking about it for 3 years at least. First in Venice, we took a little vacation together before the Discovery program that's run by Stefano Reverso. And then we talked about it in Amsterdam when we met up a couple of years ago. But I was always in a bit of a quandary because I had so much going on, not just, of course, the infrastructure for IAM I created back in 2011, getting the practitioner directory set up, all the web pages and everything. And then since then, I've also been involved in Mind Mirror development and sales and the development with Braden Ong of the Mind Mirror portal, which I hope you are all vastly enjoying. And still now with Braden, I'm working on, oh my gosh, so many projects. Among them, a mainstream mind mirror, only the EEG, which hopefully will be affordably priced and bring us up to the top of the mind recognition that we deserve for what we do. Of course, recording all the meditations. I've just been juggling so many balls and financially supporting it all these many years. And it wasn't until December, this past December, that I woke up in the middle of the night and just could not go to sleep for no discernible reason. So I lay there for about 3 hours, and it suddenly dawned on me that it was time to hand over the reins to Suzanne, and that she, of course, has, as you will come to find out, many more skills and abilities than I do in terms of marketing, promotion, and lots of other things, including a beautiful designer's eye. And so I was at the airport on the way to New Zealand and sent out an email real quick. And Susanna said, yes, I will do it, because I've been asking her these past years. And she immediately sent back in her email, said, but we need to design and network all the websites. And next thing I knew, we were choosing color schemes to network IAM, the Mind Mirror portal, the mindmirror.com, and the IAM events that Oksana has managed all these years, and a common logo with each name on each. And just this has all been going on, and it's so exciting for me. And I don't have any regrets whatsoever. And don't ever expect to have any, because I'm just so thrilled, Susanna, with your capabilities and the beautiful energy that you bring to IAM, to your dedication. And so let me just say right now, mwah, thank you, thank you, thank you for being willing to guide this starship right where it needs to go. And can we just start by asking you to tell those people who might not have read your bio or anything, just something about yourself, and then we can get into whatever your plans are.
First, I want to start with not forgetting that I'm not going to do this alone, because Oksana has always been a huge part of the whole network and the webinars and stuff like that. Braden has always been a huge part. So I feel that I'm just part of a team, and I hope that I continue to be part of a team. And so, yeah, I have worked first, my career started, believe it or not, as a professional dancer. And at one point, I think I was 21 years old, and I was dancing for three. At one point, I thought, okay, I can't do this the rest of my life because at 30, I'm too old. What do I want with my life? I need to decide right now if I still want to go to university or study, then now is the time. I wanted to go to art school, and then I thought, oh, there's no money in that, but that is really where my passion was. So I did communication, I studied communications, worked for a PR company for some time, and then went into business really. And I've been a manager, a project manager for years, interim management. And then I started to become a freelancer. Best decision I ever made, by the way. And at one point I thought, okay, let's go do art school in my free time. So I did art school, graphics and drawing. That is a special side of the art school I did in Rotterdam. And at one point I thought, okay, because I was an interim manager and project manager and I was dealing with people, and I found out that people are really a little bit anxious when it comes to change. So at one point I thought, okay, let's expand my skills. I want to be a coach. I want to help people to not be afraid of change and see it as an opportunity. And that led me basically on this pathway to be a freelancer and become a professional coach and a professional trainer. And at one point, I've always been very intuitive throughout my childhood. And at one point, mediumship came on my pathway. And as with everything, I was immediately hooked and became a teacher in the College for Psychic Science in England and a professional medium as well. And that led me to the Book of Inner Wise. At one moment, I was in a group, and this was still in my developmental years, and the teacher said, "You're all in trance." And my logical brain said, "No, I'm not." And nobody could convince me that I was in trance. So I started to Google and find where can I measure states of consciousness, and I couldn't find anything. And at one point, a friend of mine, a shaman, she came to me. She says, "I don't know why, but you need to read this book." And that was the Book of NOIs. And so my journey into Awaken Mind training started. And I became a coach, I became a practitioner and a practitioner trainer, and now I'm the director of the Institute. That's the
So,
journey in short.
and what a wonderful background, this highly intuitive background fueled by design skills, marketing skills, promotion skills, and working with businesses. Of course, that's something that a direction we've always wanted to go with the Mind Mirror. And we even talked about it. We had a small group several years ago who were talking about designing programs, and it just disappeared and went off the radar. We never did go very far with it. But is that something that you see as a
Yeah.
possible future for IAM?
Yes. As I started off with bringing the Institute a little bit into this era, because everything was a little bit old-fashioned. And so I thought, okay, we need to renew things. And there's not that there's anything wrong with old-fashioned, but this is not getting clients in. And this is not bringing what we do to the forefront of people's minds. My first initiative was to redesign a lot of things, and I believe that we need to keep on doing this. It's not a one-time thing, and in 12 years' time, we're going to do another thing. So this needs to evolve. It needs to keep on growing and keep on renewing, so to speak. But also, my plans are to have this community a little bit more active in the sense that interactive. I want to build a striving community for practitioners, but also for self-trainers. And I want to build places where people can ask their questions. And there's others who can help them. For instance, if self-trainers have a question, they can post stuff, other people will respond. So we can help each other out. Also, with referrals of clients, as I do with you, Judith, but I've done in the past with other people. If I feel that somebody would benefit, for instance, for an on-location training, and I'm not the one to do it, I will refer people to other people. And we need to digitalize a lot of our knowledge. This is something else I want to do. And I want to give practitioners the more opportunities, basically, to share their knowledge and to share their work, because a lot of practitioners have added their own knowledge to what we do as Awakened Mind practitioners. And I feel that we could all benefit from that, and our clients could benefit from that. And it's a little bit, in Holland, we have an expression, I don't know whether you have that expression too. It's a little bit like loose sand. And I want us to combine our efforts and combine our knowledge. Together with Oksana and Judith at the moment, we're also setting up a Facebook page. And I want this Facebook page for everybody to be there, so everybody can post. Self-trainers should be able to post things there. Practitioners should be able to post their upcoming trainings, anything they want to share there when it comes to the knowledge of Awakened Mind training. And also a LinkedIn page, which is more into the business area. And I want to have an online community with online software for an online community. So a really community, to be honest. And there is a lot of ideas for marketing and promotion, which I'm not going to explain at the moment. But for now, for this webinar, the plans to make the online community more interactive, more thriving, and more to the forefront, that is hopefully what I'm going to do together with you, because in myself, I'm not a community. We have to all do this. Yeah.
Beautiful. And so I guess once the Facebook page is set up, the next step will be to ask Oksana to send out an email and say, here's our new Facebook page. Check in, check us out, feel free. Yeah, and you've already sent letters to practitioners and said, this is the new change. And I love it that you are going to update the practitioner directory. Honestly, I have not had the heart to do it because a lot of people in that directory were trained by Anna Wise. And I have tried to contact some of them through their online details and been successful, but just didn't want to take them out. And we have a whole lot of newly certified practitioners coming in. We've even got one practitioner, Anna Certified, who I know loves this work, but doesn't own a Mind Mirror 6. He's still using the Mind Mirror 3. And I sent a Monroe person to him. And when she found out he didn't have the equipment that we had at the Discovery program, she was very perturbed. So that kind of equalization, so that everything is updated and all the contact details work. That enhances our reputation tremendously.
We have to understand that we only have one chance for a first impression. And now when people come to the website of the Institute and they try to find a practitioner, when they contact A, the phone is not working. When they try to contact B, they have already been retired. When they contact C, there is no website, etc., etc. So that is not a good impression. Then people will believe that there is no activity within this community, there is no progression within the knowledge that we have. It's all old-fashioned. That's not a good impression that we give off. So that reflects back to the practitioners and the work they do. So this is what my first intention was, and I'm still working on it, and the list gets less and less. But this is what I do. I clean up whatever is there that is not good for potential clients to see. Yeah.
And then the other reason I didn't want to delete those people, even though I knew that many of them didn't answer their emails, even if you emailed them and said, are you still practicing, was because it just meant slicing off probably a third of the numbers of practitioners. And I'm just so thrilled Diana's going to certify this year. Hi, Diana, along with Francesca, and I just certified 2 practitioners who will soon have their bios up on the website. And other practitioner groups are maturing. So we're going to end up with a totally updated and reliable, dependable practitioner directory for the first time, really, since I started. Because there's only so many, you can spread yourself only so thin. And so for me, this is just fantastic that you are meticulous and methodical and laser focused on this. And it's just going to so vastly improve the quality. I wonder if you guys have seen the new Institute for the Awakened Mind website. Yeah,
No.
beautiful. Just
Yes.
beautiful. Do you want to share screens? Do you have permission and just show
Sure.
people?
Hold on. I'm actually, hold on. Here we go. And you see my screen.
Yep, we got it.
Right. Now you have to, I'm actually in the environment where I can make alterations, okay?
Uh-huh.
But it's still recognizable as the Institute for the Awakened Mind so far, but it has got a fresh template, fresh new logo, fresh banner. But this is not the end point, okay? We have now here our experts in a nice list. So people can, when they want to find an expert or a trainer or a practitioner, they can find one in this list. And also the training programs are neatly here underneath one another. Of course, the webinars still have a link. So if people want to see a webinar or have a look at old webinars, they have still find this link. The Mind Mirror website has a link and the portal has a link. If people want to subscribe to a newsletter, there is going to be a newsletter particularly for the Institute itself. So for practitioners and for training programs. So that is also something new. This is not going to be there, of course. Okay. I'm going to stop sharing. I want to log out because this is actually the environment where I make changes. So you see now things where other people don't see the Judith and Suzanne page. Okay. There's
Yes.
also something else that's going to come up with this website. Now people have a little short space where they can have a profile picture and their specialities. But I want a page for every practitioner where you can have a huge bio, where you can have information that you think is important for the client to know in order to choose you as a practitioner or a trainer. So everybody gets their own page, but in time, because I'm just one person and I do this on the side. Yeah.
Gorgeous. Did you love the colors? Aren't they beautiful? And they're moving toward the white of spirituality in this abstract way, which just says worlds. Really, Susanna tells me that every 3 days, websites need years, they need to evolve into a new, more modern look. Ours has been the same look since, oh, it can't be 15 years. Yes, 15 years. So these are the joys of specialization. Once one person is working on one project, then more attention and care can go to it. And this is why I said I'll never have a single regret, nothing but joy about this handover. Yeah. And gratitude, that you're willing to do it. It's a labor of love. Yeah. Absolutely a labor of love. Yeah.
Could I
And
throw in
And your hands up?
could I throw in a comment here? A
of
couple
course,
suggestions for your web page. An about tab would be nice, about it, and maybe a history section, going clear back to England and Max Cade.
Yeah, there is that. There is a history section, and that is called, let me see, it's on the research, really. Yeah. So but it's a good suggestion, Stephen. I have now left because there is already so much change. So now I have left the content that was there, I left that intact.
Yes, yes.
But in time, we will sort things into a different mode and make different menus and call it different names. Yeah, definitely. Thank you. I've written it down.
And this is probably a good place for me to mention that on mindmirrorportal.com on the About Us page are very lengthy and wonderful biographies on Max Cade, Jeff Blundell, his co-inventor of the Mind Mirror, and also Anna Wise. Just gorgeous biographies. I spent untold amount of time interviewing people, gathering documents, and putting pictures as photographs, putting it all together right there on mindmirrorportal.com. Yeah. Yeah.
So now we have basically 3 websites. The Institute is particularly and specifically for the training part. The Mind Mirror the website is particularly for the Mind Mirror and the invention of the Mind Mirror and the history of the Mind Mirror and the product and the software. And then we have a website, which is the Mind Mirror portal, and that is everything to do with what we do, so the work that we do. So there's 3 different websites that contain different information and has a different purpose.
Yes. And then the IAM events website, which
Exactly.
may or may not be integrated into IAM depending on what you and Oksana decide about that. But now already the IAM, Oksana has done such a gorgeous job, as you all know, of the IAM events.tilde.ws website all along. But somehow she's made it even more beautiful by using the same color scheme as our other websites and adding the logo. And I'm just so thrilled. I'm high as a kite and only see wonderful things ahead. And interestingly, these changes have or are taking place at a very interesting time for our work, in that through the Monroe Institute, I was interviewed by our guests in next month's webinar, Bob Davis and Dave Beatty, who in 2022, I met them there, mapped their brainwaves along with those of other people who are going to be in their film. And that, called Consciousness Connection Foundations, is already up on Gaia TV. And then I guess October, right before I went to the last discovery, maybe November, I went to Monroe again and did. So Monroe and I are in about the last 1/4 of Consciousness Connections. But for the Divine Science program, it was funny. I got there all dressed up. They put on my makeup. And as they were putting on my makeup before the interview, the director of Monroe, Alan Evans, says, "Oh, so this is all going to be about psychic abilities." And I went, "No, I didn't know that. I thought it was going to be about the discovery program and the mind mirror." And she said, "No, he's going to ask you about psychic powers, how prevalent they are, how to build them, and things like that." I went, "Okay, fine." So the whole time he's interviewing me, which was well over an hour, every time he asked me a question, I just instantaneously related it to the mind mirror and says, "When we can prove that." And I got him so interested that he later, his assistants asked me, I was already preparing videos of interesting sessions and sending them to him. And then he wanted more information on the mind mirror, more screenshots. The mind mirror has taken a very dominant position. They said we're the star of at least one segment of the 4, and that's going to air on Gaia TV. We thought in May, but it looks like it's already going to air this month. We're making these changes to the websites just right smack in time. Divine right flow going on here, and couldn't be more exciting to me. I wonder if any of you have other questions. Now would be a grand time to ask them. I see that, Nicole, you had a question about out of body. Can the mind mirror be helpful in developing out-of-body states? The short answer to that, I suppose that if you had the pattern editor and put two straight lines down the middle and trained your brain to disappear pretty much from your body, you could train it that way. But just as a quick short answer, there is an album in the Mind Mirror portal under higher states called Superconscious Mind. And there is track called Cosmic Waves that's all about out of body. And also, I think there's a whole album titled Journeys Out of the Body that an affiliate of Max Cade's wrote as well in that same segment. So, yeah. The beauty of this work, and I just parroted on, just gabbed on with this guy, this producer from Gaia TV, who will join us, we hope, in May to talk about what he does, which is absolutely fascinating. He's all over the world covering things that I never even heard of, certain organizations and people's abilities. A fascinating guy. And I'm just gabbing on because you can't say enough. What is the mind mirror not useful for? All the way from stress reduction to out of body higher states, mystical, peak performance, and everything. It's a full spectrum product and service to the world. I'm happy that I will now have a little bit more time to try to get that message across. You know? It's huge. I spent the last 3 weeks rewriting, 4 weeks rewriting the mindmirror.com. It's going to transport to a Shopify website and move to a shopping cart platform. That's a whole lot less work for me. No more letters back and forth here. Separate letter, here are your manuals, separate letter, here are your tracking numbers. It's all going to be automated now. But just writing that website again for the umpteenth time, I realized, how do you put this in words? What we really need is for somebody to be brave enough to sit down with a video camera in the background and have a practitioner take them through a meditation. But of course, that's so private and personal. We've never really been able to do it. It's just such a phenomenal scope. And Susanna is so articulate. I know that when it comes down to making changes on that IAM website, she will find the words, possibly better than I can. You'll see the forest and where I'm running around in the trees, doing my best to see the forest. And as part of the team, probably we'll be able to do that better together. And we have lots of support, don't we? The incoming practitioners. Arna's here with us, although we don't see his face. We know that he's 100% behind everything we're doing. Yeah. So questions from anybody else?
Oh, I think this is very exciting. Thank you for showing us the website again, Susanna. I love the work that you're doing. And thank you for helping Judith. Judith, I know you're so busy. You have so many plates spinning. So I'm really excited that you're going to have more time to evangelize and share your knowledge. I was watching an interview the other day. I'm sure a lot of us have heard of the telepathy tapes, and Dr. Dana Powell-Hennessy was talking about how she's excited about doing more research on this and EEG research on this. And I said, Judith did the research on this in my head. The research is out there and it's being done. So I'm excited that you're going to have an opportunity to now, at a time when spotlight is being put on the mind, brain waves, EEG, connection to higher states, and these abilities, you're the perfect person to talk about this and what you found. You have so many amazing stories. So I'm really excited that you're going to have the time to share your stories and your knowledge with the rest of the world, because I love hearing you speak about this.
Thank you so much, Diana. And I guess there's no reason I can't say this now, is that this past discovery I just came back from yesterday, it's a week-long program where, as most of people are lying in anti-gravity chairs with headphones on and listening to gamma beat frequencies. Not in every meditation, they go into it slowly, but introduce gamma. People have these amazing experiences. Well, the Monroe Institute has had a situation where their research directors have mostly, for the past few years, since we started there in 2017, been moving lots of different directions, handling lots of different projects. So there's only been one talk given, and it hasn't even yet been transferred into a scientific paper to be published in a journal. And interestingly, it was that what they found the most increase in was 7.83 hertz alpha theta crossover where healing takes place. They're not going to say where healing takes place unless they reference other papers that have said that, which there are some. But now that Braden Ong has come back he and I are doing so many different things together. He's just this brilliant developer of the portal who seems to have unlimited abilities in general. This past week, he showed me the software application he's developed. He calls it the Sketcher because it automatically draws the brainwave patterns, or you can do screen captures of the brainwave patterns and put them in a document to hand to the client, or put them in a participant report. And one aspect of the Sketcher is phenomenal. He thought of this on his own, and this was to be able to put in parameters that say capture the awakened mind patterns of 80% at training level 5 and better over the course of the session with only one or however many standard deviations from the pattern. And this thing within seconds, this is all AI driven. It creates this chart that shows you exactly where they had the most, so you can see how long they held the awakened mind pattern. So if he can do that, what I immediately said is, oh my God, this is the key to getting our research published in journals. Because if you can do that, you can say, drop the alpha peak from 10.5 to 9 hertz, or you can say, amplified the pattern in aha awakened mind insights. You can put any sort of parameter in there, and it will generate this graph that will be publishable because it's a neurofeedback, research grade neurofeedback device. And we're talking about pure data here. And nobody can argue with that and say, oh, they're talking about this, scientists out of body, throw that out. So this is going to be factual. And it just opens a world of possibilities for research, not only for Monroe, but anything else. Now that we've got this tool, Susanna, for your studies on mediums, what is your criteria? Put it in the Sketcher. So Braden has just been a treasure trove of creative ingenuity for us. And it all keeps coming back to the fact that he just didn't want to draw the patterns. So he's created all of this automation for us that has just
When will this be
morphed.
ready, Judith?
What's that?
When will this be ready, the Sketcher?
Yeah, oh, it's ready right now. The Sketcher's ready. The AI reporting, they're still working on it. They put a privacy safeguard on it. So they're still dumping awakened mind information into it from Anna's book, Max's book. You can only put so much, so it has to be very succinct. But he's got this constellation of subjects. Click on any one, it'll tell you everything it contains about the awakened mind. So they're really still refining that part of it. I haven't even read their reports yet. 2 of them use that. Braden and Robin Bernard used it in their participant reports. I'm going to read those today and see how, and they've already said that it said some goofball things. You know, those participant reports are just talk about higher order of analysis and thinking. You're looking at each meditation, then you're looking at all 8 of the meditations, and you're comparing so many different aspects. Did their alpha increase in amplitude? Did they drop their alpha peak? Did the theta delta develop an upturn? How many times did they hit the right brain evolved mind before they flared to the whole circle? It just goes on and on. I don't honestly know how AI reports are going to be possible, but they're determined. And I'm saying, yeah, do it. Once you got it done, we'll see if it works. but they're really excited about this enthusiasm. The Sketcher's ready right now. Yeah. And he's trying to figure out some way to get this to practitioners, get it in their hands for their use. And that's definitely on his radar.
Wonderful. Good news. Yeah.
Yes, yes. So research. Oh, yes, the research. Please. More freedom to do more research. Yeah.
Yeah. And I love that he's thinking of integrating some automation into it, because I don't think any researcher likes the writing up the paper and the case studies, but that's not the fun part. So if we can just have a way to fill out the fields, have the backend do the work, and then our role as the guide and setting things up can be the focus. I'm especially excited about the guide part, because Judith, as you speak about the meditation and the hired and altered states that we can help clients get to, it's not this amorphous just luck. The ways to work it to get to certain parts, like when the alpha collapses, ways to help get them back there. So I think it'd be exciting to, after this iteration, I'm polishing up the website, working on the software and these automation of reports. So then the focus can be like really where the heart of the practitioner is, on how to help exercise the knowledge and the nuance to help people get to these states better and
Yes.
faster.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And I have to say, Suzanne's had an idea. She mentioned it only in brief, but this is a great place to talk about it. And it's that to have a working group of people to discuss the Mind Mirror software as it is today and what they would like to see it be able to do. And Steve Clark is so busy. He's still the only engineer at Listus. But I said, get that working group, get their recommendations, and I'll cajole, wheedle, trade, barter, whatever needs to happen so we can advance that software more. He'll listen to me because I'm buying them from him. We've sold nearly 500 mind mirrors since 2011, which is a significant amount of money for Ballistus, nowhere near as much for me, but a lot of money for them. Money talks. And with this level of creativity we've got going on here, I'm sure we'll be able to make the mind mirror perhaps more beautiful, certainly more utilitarian according to practitioners' needs.
No, if you need any help,
Yes.
I'm definitely here to help with anything. And then Susanna, you as well. I have some experience in marketing and advertising and branding, so I would love to just
Wonderful.
anything you need.
Wonderful.
I wasn't the builder, I was more on the account management side, so I don't have the skills that you have.
I was working in IT and I wasn't a builder either. So together we can come up with wonderful ideas. I know that Arne has a lot of knowledge on that side too. I would like to have a group of practitioners together, like a thinking tank, like a thinking group, where we, because, and this is just my experience, but I know I'm not the only one. When you work with the software, some things are not as intuitive, or they're not as logical, or they're not behaving in a way that you want as a practitioner because you are working with the system. So it's more like a user group that could give some feedback to the listers and say, hey, as practitioners, we work this way with the system, or can you fine tune this or that? And I'm pretty sure that the software and the sales and the training will improve if we have a software that is improving with use. I'm not saying that the software is bad right now, don't get me wrong, but I get a lot of comments from people who train that they say, okay, this is not very intuitive and it's a little bit hard to understand. So I believe that there's room for improvement.
Yes. My first suggestion, and I'll put at the top of your user group recommendation, is to change that tab that says view to review. Because that's what everything under view is. But you look at view, that could mean a jillion things. So this is Steve Clark's technical mind, but also he inherited the software from someone else and he's had to just add to it. Yeah, I think it can definitely be better. It can be more beautiful. Wouldn't it be nice to update it to our color scheme? I don't know if he'd go for that. He does have customers around the world, but who knows what's possible? I think probably anything is. Yeah. And then
Yeah.
another project.
I
Oh,
think
you
Stephen
have a
has a
question?
question.
I wanted to
Yes,
ask
go
Want
ahead.
to
Suzanne.
say something?
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about your ambitions to find a market for the mind mirror in the business community.
Mm.
Because what I'm picking up from the conversation is that there's no definite direction at this present time. But if that's what you're thinking, you must have some ideas in the back of your mind. And I was just wondering what that might be.
I'm not going to be very specific at this point about that because I first want to get everything in shape, the basis, what we're doing. But I do have some ideas for targeting the business market. Absolutely. Yeah.
I can give you a couple suggestions right now because
Well,
your approach to marketing is unique. Because I won't go into it in great detail, but I would think that after you have done the work you feel is necessary with the website and so on, that you consider maybe putting together a program on marketing for firms because of your unique approach.
Hmm.
And then another idea would be to work with me. And I'll write you an email about this, but I'm working on a leadership development program that I think would tie in very well with brainwaves and the mind mirror.
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And I can tell you that not only you, but also me and two other people in Holland are also working with leadership and awakened mind. I believe that is something that we could develop more and maybe standardize for our practitioners. Yeah, absolutely.
Because each practitioner, in a way, is a leader.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And what about PR? I think IAM and the mind mirror need better PR. I don't know if that's your territory or not, but I've read so many books on meditation, consciousness. I never get a peep about any of this. They say, oh, there's been all these brainwave studies, but they never mention any of the good stuff, like what Max Cade and Anna Wise and Judith have done. They never mention any of that stuff. And you think you definitely need better PR. Get the word out there.
A
Part
Wikipedia page. I haven't had time to do it, but we need Institute Max and Anna on Wikipedia for one thing.
for sure, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely an important part of history that a tiny percentage people have even heard about it at all.
Yeah. But Stephen, to be honest, to start with PR when your website is 15 years old and your practitioner list is not current, and most of them, or at least 30% of them, are either retired or no longer existing or not working anymore, that is not a good idea. This is why I want to clean the shop, make everything beautiful, and then start to announce that we are here. Hi world, we're here. But the cleaning and the refreshment and everything that the refreshing of the website and um, modernize things needs to be done first and very quickly, and then we can announce ourselves to the world. But I would love to hear your suggestions. This is not only from you, Stephen, but from everybody else. If you have suggestions and if you say, okay, now we really need to do this, please contact me because I need to hear those suggestions.
I think all your ideas are great. They're definitely all stuff that either needed to be done or that people just didn't realize needed to be done. And I think it's just fantastic. So I will get in touch with you. I'll let you know what I'm doing and we'll see if there's any connection.
Thank you. Thank you. Lovely. I appreciate that, Stephen. Thank you. Yeah.
And I can say that one thing that Suzanne and I are going to do in preparation for a business outreach, and not just business, there's a government entity that this will satisfy their need as well, is to create a series of practitioner training videos. We've been talking about doing that for years, and it won't take away from practitioners, because most people, I mean, it may occasionally, but most people want an in-person training, or at least a training over Zoom. Where Diana, we looked at your meditations in the portal and dissected them, and there's so much brainwave theory involved in that, understanding of those changes. So that's still going to go on. There'll still be plenty of practitioner trainers and practitioners training individuals. But we think that these practitioner training videos will, partly because of the lower price, partly because of the convenience of watching something in your own time, will open the mind mirror up to so many more people. And a business that says, or a government entity that says people want to do this, but they're just too busy, they can't do it. What have you got that they can have to take home? Well, we have a set of practitioner training videos for you. So that's infrastructure work too. We've known it needed to happen. And I think that's going to mature next year. I'll come over to Amsterdam. Susanna's husband is a TV producer who will rent a studio and just spend however long it takes to get that on camera and edited, videoed. And probably, I think that'll go on a separate platform. Is that right? Or will it go on the IAM platform? Yeah.
No, it's going on a separate platform. Yeah, lots of ideas.
And that program will actually provide paying work for practitioners, because nobody can only watch a video and not
Yeah.
need personal help. They may get to a point where they don't understand the theory, or they get to a point in their personal meditation where they don't know why they got X, Y, and Z as answers, or they may be having trouble with their equipment.
I don't even want to call it practitioner videos. They are more videos where people can get acquainted with the awakened mind training. And for sure, what they're seeing there is, if they like it, it's not going to be enough. So that means that they're going to find a practitioner online.
Oh, nice. That's a great perspective. Yeah. So then this goes out to more people buy mind mirrors and our community grows. All these things are designed to overlap and interface, integrate, synthesize to a higher order. Yeah. And what could we do for self-trainers?
I believe that, and this is also why I want to talk to self-trainers, because I have some ideas what we can do for self-trainers. We can support them with an interactive platform if they have questions, or say, okay, now I'm struggling with this, or how would you do that, approach that. Other people or other self-trainers or practitioners could respond. But there might be something else that they need or they want to be supported in an interactive way that I haven't thought about. So I would love to hear so for all of you watching this in recording at some point later, if you're a self-trainer, please contact me. If you have some ideas that you want to have realized or missed all those years, just let me know.
I would fall into the category of self-trainer, as Judith knows. And I would say improving the software would be number one on my list. If you haven't had any instruction or anything, it's quite a challenge. And I'm an MIT educated computer scientist. And so it shouldn't be a challenge for me to use the software.
Yeah, you're not the only one with that. And this is also where I believe instruction videos come in. Instruction videos on how to use the mind mirror. So you don't read the manual, but you have really an interactive video there, which you can see, which is quite the norm nowadays, right? If you install some software, you go on YouTube and see somebody else explaining this to you. Yeah.
One
Well,
thing,
I do have a set of mind mirror instructional videos, but that are demonstrating how to do various things, all the things, everything that's in the user manuals. But I don't know, maybe take a look at those and see if they can be improved. Because if they didn't answer your questions, Steve, then
It's not so much that the information that's out there is just hard to remember. It's a complicated software. And if you don't use it regularly, you come back to it. It's, oh my gosh, what do I do here? What button do I push? What does this mean? You know, it's that kind of thing. Like you said, lack of intuitive interface.
there's a possibility that could be helped by Steve Clark's movement toward away from Windows and Mac installation and access to the software in the cloud through his MindStreams program. He is working on that, and I don't know why he couldn't do like we do in the portal and have an eye in the windows that you can click on that opens up and explains what that screen is used for. So that's something to consider. I'm sure he would have more latitude. I know that another possible extremely important benefit, although I don't know how Braden's going to find the time to engineer yet another thing for us, is that once the Mind Mirror is operating in the cloud, then it can be hooked by Braden or Steve or both of them together, I don't know how, to the portal for active processing. Yeah, I'm just talking at the top of my head. I have no knowledge of this field, but there will be more opportunities for Braden to beautify the Mind Mirror portal data and make it more interactive once he's yeah, that's it. Once he's downloading from the cloud instead of a robot going through Valista software, then Braden has more potential to beautify and optimize what's in the portal. Yeah. But yeah. And we do have the little eye in the corner of everything that says what everything is for. Yeah. Maybe you should be part of that Mind Mirror users group, Steve.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody else? Comments, suggestions, welcomes, anything like that?
I had one more thing regarding the website. Judith, you mentioned you were moving on to a Shopify type of platform. And I imagine the meditations that are all available on the website are all going to be purchasable, easy transactions to buy on the website. I was wondering if you have any plans to add more meditations into the website. I think for the self-trainers, when I'm self-training, that's always something I'm looking for, more meditations. And if I can connect them to the portal pretty easily, then that'll help me with meetings. And then there's some that are really good, but there's a difference in the way the voice carries, for example, like the Cascades or even some of Anna Wise's methods. I think you have such a really great voice as also a musician, Judith, that, for example, some of the Cascades, if those can be updated or redone with newer, maybe some binaurals, then that's also not just for the self-trainer, but on the business side, an opportunity to have more meditations that people could buy because some of those are really good.
Yeah, thank you for that question. We're going to keep Shopify is only for Mind Mirror sales, but so the meditations will stay on the Mind Mirror portal. But yes, there are definitely plans. As a matter of fact, I have a number of meditations that practitioners have written that are absolutely outstanding. Either they are going to record or I will record their meditations, so there will be new albums coming in. And I have a vague idea for a gamma infused through Bob Holbrook album that's, I don't want to say the name of it once it goes out in the cyberspace, but it will be a progression of the Superconscious Mind album. And we'll certainly have binaural beats in that. And then I should mention that you actually have in the meditations not just that Anna recorded in her voice, but her meditations that I recorded in my voice that had been previously unrecorded. In many cases, you have the music that she created way back, that we use. I sent you during training the Dropbox link to the meditation music and the awakened mind music, and those actually have binaural beats in them. So I made sure to use those. If I know Anna, they were effective in the first place, and they are still, I could hear them in the studio. I could hear the binaural beats because I thought, these things have come from cassette tapes to CDs, and now they're in the studio on all this whiz bang fancy equipment. And I could still hear the binaural beats in just the soundtrack once the volume was turned way up. So they are there. And those would be for the non-awakened mind meditations are going to have alpha, theta, and delta binaural beats. And for the awakened mind meditations, they're going to have beta, alpha, theta, and delta. When you get up into the higher state meditations, that's when, for those meditations, I did not include binaural beats because we went straight to music. I don't, at the time, until we did Superconscious Mind, I didn't have access to gamma beat frequencies. It's just music, and then that gives you the wonderful challenge of doing what you can on your own based on just the instructions. But certainly there can be, and no doubt will be, some more. A sleep album. I've written a bunch of meditations to help with sleep while I was traveling to Prague and Vienna last year and couldn't sleep. So I'll certainly record those. And that would be an excellent opportunity to put some theta delta beat frequencies in there. Thank you for that idea just now.
I'm really
But
excited
yeah,
about that's
yeah,
gonna be
and superb meditations need to be recorded, so they must be in the portal. And that's certainly all along been the plan, just keep refreshing it.
future facing. I know it doesn't come up much. Are there any plans to start to look at engaging Lambda or including Lambda in any of the hardware or software?
We actually can't do Mind Mirror software or even Ballista's Pro hardware to measure lambda because you would need a 200 hertz sensor to be able to measure up to 120 hertz. When you start getting that high, the equipment starts getting way more expensive, harder to shield. And literally no one that I know of is measuring in those frequencies for that specific reason. We have enough trouble with 60 hertz as it is, 50 and 60 hertz. But I have seen situations where there was a ton of amplitude up in gamma, and that probably is indicative of a roll down into the 100 hertz we are measuring. As for epsilon, the same situation. We probably will not drop our bottom threshold below 0.5 hertz, simply because the hardware can't accommodate it, and we can only do what Ballistas, they've been so wonderful to us all these years, putting in changes and in the software and accommodating people and not charging much for repairs. They've just been stupendous. We can't really ask the factory to re-engineer all of their hardware. They have many other customers. We're just a sliver of their customer base.
Judith, I think about that often because you made a video, I think, about how you worked with someone and you couldn't really get to the bottom of the problem until you got clear down to the epsilon, and that's where you could get the translation back into it. I think about that a lot, and I think that's so important.
Yeah, it really is. Epsilon is incredibly important because this is where the yoga nidra, the psychic stuff gets really interesting. This is where these guys are traveling out of their bodies and pulling in intuitive information and waking back up and being able to tell people, despite having been in a cave or a grave for 3 to 9 days, what was happening outside the world. That's all in epsilon. And also in epsilon is something really important that I wish we really could measure. And it's that according to Siegfried Othmar, who's been in neurofeedback for 50 years now, 0.1 hertz is where the brain resets the body. So people who have all manner of problems, from ADHD to he takes them down to 1 hertz and body heals. Just as super high gamma does. It's just a big loop, isn't it? But yeah, I wish we could. Who knows, maybe in the future. They do keep advancing the software and what they're doing. I want to come back to Susanna. And if we don't have any more questions, I want to say thank you, bless you. We appreciate you and we love you for taking this world of awakened mind training into your hands and optimizing it for self-trainers and practitioners. I know it's going to grow under you, and the world will grow. If we grow, the world grows. Yeah.
I hope so. And please bear with me because I'm doing this next to everything else that I'm already doing. But it has my attention and it's my passion too. But I can't do it with all the other practitioners and the self-trainers. So please feed me with whatever you need. So I don't have to invent this by myself because I might invent something that you don't like. And I'm here for you. I believe that the institutes should be supporting self-trainers and practitioners. And so this is where I'm coming from. And I hope you feed me with whatever you need.
I feel sure that plates of nirvana-like food are heading your way in the ethers right now, and in advance of the people who will be in touch.
Wonderful. Looking forward to it. And
Thank
thank
you,
you all for
everybody.
being here and for everybody listening in another time. Just contact me. You can contact me on info@institutefortheawakenedmind.online because that is the domain where the newsletter will go out for the institute, not for the webinars, but for the practitioners and the training part. Yeah.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Hope to see you next month for the Consciousness Connection film producers. They're a hoot. These two guys are. Thanks so much.